What's up, Pinedale kids? You've reached the halfway point of Excel. You are halfway done with this year's Excel book. This week is all about courage. It's about standing strong even when things seem scary or impossible. To kick off this week's preview video, I want to first introduce you to the memory verse you'll be learning this week. It's found on the purple poster. This week's memory verse reminds us that we never have to be afraid because God is always with us. The verse says, "Do not be afraid, I am with you. Do not be terrified, I am your God. I will make you strong and help you. I will hold you safe in my hands." Isaiah 41:10. God doesn't just tell us to be brave, He gives us strength, which leads to us being brave. And learning this memory verse will help us to remember that. And to help you learn the verse, we want you to wear the purple wristband and the seashell temporary tattoo. I'm telling you, this is a great verse to learn because every Bible story and devotion you read this week are packed with bravery, trust, and incredible faith. So grab your shield and your sword and get ready, because this week we're learning that when God is with us, we have nothing to fear. Here's a sneak peek at what you'll learn this week. On day 22, we read about Esther saves her people. Stop right there. This is super important. Each of your devotions has this section here where you'll find a Bible passage. We've literally copied this right out of a Bible. Then we underlined and highlighted important sections of the text. And we've added handwritten notes here on the side, pointing out things that you can learn from this text. We've done this as an example of what you can do in your own Bible. Our challenge to you is that you look up the passage in your own Bible. Do you even know how to do that? Let me teach you right now. This right here is a Bible reference. It's broken down into 3 parts. This here is called the book, this is the chapter, and this part right here is the verse. This tells you where you can find the passage, or the Bible verse, in your own Bible. To find the book of the Bible, well, you could just open up your Bible and thumb through it like this and look for the book name, but there's an easier way. Turn to the front of your Bible and find the page titled Contents or Table of Contents. Here you'll find a list of all the books of the Bible. Find the book that you're looking for. So for us, right now, we're looking for the book of Esther. Here it is. And next to the word Esther is this page number 527. That's what page the book of Esther begins on, so we're going to turn to that page. Here it is. Now we're going to look for the chapter number. In your Bible, the chapter number is always going to be the largest size print. In other words, the biggest font. In a lot of Bibles, the chapter number is often a different color than the other texts. For us, right now, we are looking for chapter 4. Here it is. And now we want to find the verse number. In your Bible, the verses are numbered with a smaller size print. The verse numbers generally are about half the size of all the words. For us, in this example, we're trying to find the little 12. There it is. There you have it. Now you can find the verses in your own Bible. We challenge you to highlight and underline these same verses in your own Bible. And we think it's a good idea to copy some of these notes over to your Bible as well so you can remember the lessons you've learned. With this day's devotion, you will learn that Esther had a choice. Stay silent and stay safe, or speak up and risk everything to save her people. She had no idea what would happen, but she trusted God and said, "If I have to die, I'll die." Now I'll tell you, that's courage. God put her in the right place at the right time, just like He puts you where you need to be at the right moment. The question is, are you willing to trust Him when it's hard? On day 23, we study about Job. Actually, it's pronounced Job. Actually, it's pronounced Job. If we're talking about work, it's pronounced job. If we're talking about a person, it's pronounced Job. I know, it's a confusing name, kind of like Seth. Imagine losing everything. Your family, your home, your animals, your health, everything. That's exactly what happened to Job, but he never gave up on God. Even when his friends told him to quit, Job trusted that God was still in control. And guess what? God blessed him big time in the end. This story shows us that even when life is hard, God is still good. And then on day 24, we're going to read about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When I was a kid, I thought those names were Shadrach, Meshach, and away we go. These guys refused to bow down to a statue, and because of that, they were thrown into a blazing furnace. But guess what? God didn't let the fire touch them. In fact, when the king looked inside the furnace, there was a fourth person in the fire. God himself was with them the whole time. When we stand up for what's right, we are never, ever alone. On day 25, we read about Jonah. Now, we all know Jonah tried to run away from God, and he ended up getting swallowed by a big fish. I thought he got swallowed by a whale. Well, that shows you how wrong you are. True, he got swallowed by a big fish. But did you know that after he obeyed and went to Nineveh and preached the gospel to the people in Nineveh, Jonah got mad at God for forgiving the people and not destroying the city of Nineveh? What? He didn't think they deserved a second chance. But God's love is for everyone, and we should be excited when people turn to Him. I don't want that person to be saved by Jesus. Whoa! What if someone says that about you? By the way, did you see on the news that story about a kayaker getting swallowed by a whale and then spit back out? That's scary, and that really did happen. Yep, that whale realized the guy wasn't gluten-free, so he spit him back out. On day 26, we read about Stephen stoned. Stephen was the first Christian who died for sharing his faith that he had in Jesus. A group of people got mad at him telling the truth about Jesus, so they threw rocks at him over and over and over again until he became unalive. Even as people were throwing rocks at him, he didn't get angry. In fact, he asked God to forgive them. Now that takes real courage. When we follow Jesus, not everyone will like it, but we can stand strong knowing God is with us. On day 27, we read Paul and Silas. You talk about a bad day, these guys were beaten and locked in chains. They could have very easily complained, but instead, you know what they did? They sang. And guess what happened? An earthquake happened, broke off their chains, and at the end of the story, because of the way they acted, the jailer ends up getting saved. Worship is powerful, especially when life is hard. One act of worship that you can have is to pray every day. That's why we give you this section right here. It's called God's Time. This isn't something that you just check off your list. It's a time to connect with God and let Him speak to your heart. When you spend time thanking Him, confessing your struggles, and asking Him for help, you're building a stronger relationship with Him. Think about this for a moment. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You know the guys you read about earlier in the week? They didn't suddenly get brave when they stood in front of the fiery furnace. They had spent years trusting and following God. Your time with Him every day is what prepares you for those big moments when you need courage. So make this count when you do it. Well, there you have it. The start of this second half of XL is a week full of stories about standing strong, trusting God, and facing challenges with courage. I'll see you next week. Later. Love ya. Bye-bye. So grab your shield and your sword and... My sword broke. I gotta improvise. When I was a kid, I thought their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and a Winnebago. When I was a kid, I thought their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and a beef taco. I thought their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and I bend my toe. When I was a kid, I thought their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and to bed we go. The kayaker and Jonah were talking, and Jonah said, "Amateur, try spending 3 days in there, then we'll talk." Jonah was like, "Wait, you got spit out and sank it? How did you escape so fast?" When the whale got home, his mom said, "You had kayak for lunch again, didn't you? Don't lie to me because I can smell it on your breath." The kayaker says, "So that's what it feels like to be fast food." You're never going to believe this. I went kayaking and ended up in a Jonah reenactment. I was just out there minding my own business and suddenly, boom, free Uber ride. I went in a kayaker and came out a believer. I should have read the well crossing sign more carefully.